Alone at midnight, Cleaner's daughter saves a millionaire with a shocking call of destiny. The clock struck midnight with a chilling echo that pierced the stillness of the night. As the shadows danced in the flickering light, a soft whisper of desperation filled the empty halls of the grand mansion. It was a house steeped in secrets, every creak of the floorboards concealing decades of untold stories. Last night's storm had left the streets slick and dark, but inside the mansion, the atmosphere was electric, like a live wire itching for a spark. And that spark would change everything. Olivia, the cleaner's daughter, stood in the immense foyer, her heart racing like a runaway train. She had always felt drawn to this opulent world, nestled atop a hill, filled with wealth and power. The air hummed with mystery, a swirling blend of the sweet scent of roses and something metallic lurking just beneath. As she looked around, every framed portrait seemed to watch her, their eyes holding secrets of grandeur and sorrow alike. On the surface, it was just another night to tidy up, but beneath it all, Olivia could sense the shift. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the attic above, sending shivers down her spine. She paused. The sound was odd. Was it the wind? Or something more? Her instincts kicked in, an unexpected wave of courage washing over her. With trembling hands, she grabbed the old ladder propped against the wall, each step feeling heavier than the last. The scent of dust mixed with fear filled her lungs as she climbed higher, the creaking wood mirroring her racing heart. She had no idea what awaited her in that dimly lit space above a world of opulence and chaos at a tipping point. Just then, she heard a voice, a low, pleading whisper. "Help me!" A chill ran down her spine. It was straining, desperate, and so close, yet somehow so far. The urgency hung in the air like thick fog. It was a call not just for help. It was a lifeline thrown across a chasm that separated two worlds. As she reached the top, the air was thick with tension. Was she really about to uncover something monumental? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Olivia pushed the creaking door open. The sight inside stopped her breath cold. There, in a whirl of shadows, lay a man disheveled, his suit soaked, his eyes wild with fear. He flinched at the light she unintentionally cast into his dark corner. Who are you?" he managed, his voice hoarse, strained as if he'd been screaming. Something had happened to him, something that seemed life-altering. She could feel the weight of destiny pressing down on her, a force she could neither understand nor deny. What was he doing here? What danger lurked in the corners of this night? Olivia's instinct kicked in, and she realized the stakes were high. Here he was, a millionaire, a stranger, and somehow, her future was tied to his survival. Would she step forward into the chaos of the unknown, or retreat back to the safety of shadowy uncertainty? The choice was now hers. What she did next could change everything forever. The man shifted in his spot, and Olivia could see the desperation etched on his face. His wide eyes darted around the attic as if searching for an escape that wasn't there. "Please, I need your help," he pleaded again, his voice trembling. "What happened to you?" Olivia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The words hung in the air, thick with uncertainty. She took a cautious step forward, her heart pounding in her chest. I was attacked," he gasped, struggling to sit up. "They were after me." "Who? Why?" Each question sent her mind racing, imagining shadows creeping into the mansion that had always felt like a fortress. "It's complicated," he winced as he pressed his hand against his bleeding side, fresh crimson seeping through his fingers. Olivia's breath hitched at the sight. This was real, and the stakes were higher than she had ever imagined. The attic felt like a trap now, closing in on her. She could hear the wind howling outside, almost mirroring the dread swirling in her stomach. "We need to get you out of here," she said, glancing around nervously. "I'll help you, I promise." He nodded, but panic flickered across his face. "No, it's not safe. They might still be nearby." "What do you mean?" Olivia's pulse raced. Every instinct told her to run, to escape the madness lurking in the darkness. But part of her, this fiery spirit ignited by urgency, couldn't turn back now. They'll come for me. They know I'm here. His eyes locked onto hers, intense and pleading. You need to trust me. We don't have much time. He pointed to a hidden door in the corner, so well concealed she hadn't noticed it before. If we can get through there, we might stand a chance. Her mind raced. Should she trust him? A millionaire, bleeding and terrified, was he a victim or the source of all this chaos? But as she gazed into his frightened eyes, doubt melted away into a deep-rooted desire to help. She stepped toward the door, her heart thumping like a war drum. Okay, she said firmly. Let us go? She reached for the handle, but dread rushed over her as the creak of footsteps echoed from below. A chill cascaded down her spine. Someone's coming. Quick, the man urged, scrambling to his feet with a groan. She could see the pain etched across his features, but the urgency of the moment overshadowed it all. They had to move now. Olivia yanked the door open as the footsteps grew louder, a shaky light spilling from the attic onto the dim staircase. Clarity hit her like a gust of wind. One wrong move could cost them everything. Stay close, she whispered, hesitating for a moment before leading him through the narrow passage. The darkness closed in around them, consuming every ounce of light. As she crept forward, shadows shifted, elongated by the flickering candlelight, creating sinister shapes on the wall. Her breath caught in her throat. What kind of nightmare had she stepped into? Suddenly, a loud crash erupted from below. A voice called out, filled with anger. Where are you hiding? Olivia's heart sank. They were onto them. The man grabbed her arm, pulling her deeper into the shadows. We can't go back now. We have to find another way. As they hurried through the maze of darkness, Olivia felt a sense of urgency rising within her. She had crossed a line she could never come back from. But what if this was only the beginning? Behind her, the echoing footsteps grew louder, more ominous. Each step felt like a countdown. Who were they running from? And what awaited them in the depths of that hidden passage? Everything in her screamed for safety, but a new fire sparked in her heart, one that demanded she face whatever lurked in the unknown. What awaited them beyond the dark? And would her resolve be enough to survive it all? The passage was tight, walls pressing in like a vice. Olivia squeezed her eyes shut for a moment, willing herself to keep moving. She could feel the man's breath hot against her neck, urgency colored by pain with each ragged, gasping inhale. She pushed forward. It was a leap into the abyss, but what choice did they have? Keep going, he whispered. She nodded, though words failed her. Every bit of instinct screamed at her to find a way out. Yet here she was, heading deeper into darkness. Then it hit her, a soft glow flickered just ahead. Relief flooded her chest, a chance for hope, until ominous laughter echoed from behind them, slicing through her moment of solace. The men tracking them were getting closer, and she could almost feel the weight of their eyes searching the shadows. Do you hear that? She hissed, freezing in her tracks. Yes, the man answered, voice hushed, eyes widening with fear. We need to move quicker. They hurried down the corridor, silence punctuated by the distant sounds of shuffling and angry shouting. Olivia's mind raced, desperate for answers. Who are they? Why are they after you? We don't have time for that, he snapped, urgency breaking through his pain. If they catch us, they'll stop at nothing. To his words were interrupted. Another crash reverberated through the underground passage, this time closer. A gunshot rang out. Olivia's heart dropped into her stomach. It was real. She wasn't just running from shadows. She was hurtling into a battle. Run, she cried, urgency igniting her legs into a sprint. They dove through a doorway just in time, the heavy wood slamming shut behind them. She leaned against it, breathless, her eyes darting around the cramped space. It was a cellar, cluttered with forgotten relics and the silent weight of history. Old bottles, dusty tables, and creaking wooden beams added another layer of claustrophobia. Are we safe? She whispered. Not for long, he said, voice strained with effort as he collapsed to the floor, clutching his side. The blood seeped faster now, pooling beneath him, painting the floor crimson. Panic gripped her heart. We need to staunch the bleeding. No time for that, he groaned, his face pale. You need to find a way out of here. Why? She felt more anger than fear now. I can't just leave you. Because they want to stop until they find me, he gasped. You don't know what's at stake. Olivia fired back. Then tell me, what is happening? Why didn't you say anything up there? His eyes were distant, haunted. But he faltered, the effort to speak too much. Stay with me, she begged, gripping his arm. The room spun with tension, shadows flickering in the dim light from a single bulb hanging overhead. He coughed, a bitter taste mixing with the scent of dust. Thereafter something I found, he finally rasped. A secret that implicates them all. If they get it, no one is safe. The weight of his words knocked the breath from her lungs. What had he stumbled upon? The pieces of a dangerous puzzle began to fall into place, leaving both intrigue and fear swirling in her mind like a tornado. Then came the sound of pounding on the door, splintering wood protesting against the force. Olivia's pulse raced again, dread flooding her senses. They were coming, and they were relentless. What do we do? She could barely keep steady, adrenaline coursing through her veins. We fight, he said, the fire in his eyes flickering back to life against the despair of pain. Or we run again. The door shook harder, and she gripped the closest object, her heart racing. What was more dangerous? Facing the unknown or trying to pick apart this man's secrets? As the wood cracked, splinters flying, Olivia took a deep breath, ready to make the choice that could turn the tide of her fate forever. But what if the next turn left both of them exposed? In that split second, she realized that jumping into this chaos would change everything she had ever known. What awaited them beyond the door would determine their fate. Or would it unleash a darker truth lurking in the shadows? The door trembled under the weight of fury, a battering ram of desperation from outside. Olivia pressed her back against the cold wood, her heart thrumming in time with the relentless pounding. Make up your mind, he hissed, the urgency in his voice pushing her decision along the edge of chaos. She glanced down at the jagged object she had grabbed, a rusty piece of metal that might not do much against the force storming them, but felt heavy in her grip nonetheless. Here, take this, she said as she crouched beside him. Clutching his hand tighter, she pressed the metal into his palm. His fingers wrapped around it, but pain flickered across his face. The cacophony erupted as the door finally cracked, splintering under the barrage of fists from those waiting on the other side. She could hear their growls, voices echoing with harsh intent, each shout sending waves of cold dread through her. Olivia, he said, struggling to be heard over the noise. Promise me not now. She could not afford to think about promises. Not when each breath felt heavy with the burden of survival. Another shudder rippled through the door. Splinters flew like darts as the door frame buckled. Go. I'll hold them off, he grunted, staggering to his feet, defiance pushing through the pain. You can't just go. He was fierce, a fire ignited within him that shone brighter than the dim light of the cellar. She hesitated, heart breaking at the thought of leaving him behind. But the pounding grew louder, the raucous laughter blending with the crescendo of despair. With a sudden resolve, Olivia forced herself to move. She dashed toward the cellar's far end where a small, grimy window peeked out into the alley beyond, overlooking a dimly lit street. In that moment, her world shrank down to the fragile glass, and urgency flared with each breath. Olivia, he called, pain weaving through the cracks of each syllable. She looked back, eyes locking with his. I can't leave you. There's no time. They'll break through. His voice roared, raw and desperate. As if summoned by their crisis, the door splintered one last time, flying open with an explosive fury. Shadows poured in like hungry wolves drawn to a scent. Without thinking, Olivia dove for the window, glass shards biting her palms as she pulled herself through. She tumbled hard onto the pavement outside, gasping as the chill of the night air hit her skin. Pain flared in her side, but she quickly pushed the wave aside, scrambling to her feet. Run, he shouted from inside, his voice piercing through the chaos. Run now? Adrenaline surged through her veins as she sprinted down the alley, footsteps pounding against the cement like a siren's warning. But guilt roiled her stomach with each step, the memory of his face etched in her mind as she ran. What had he set in motion? Was there a way she could go back? She paused at the end of the alley, breaths jagged and frantic. Just as she turned to look back, a figure emerged from the shadows, someone from the depths of her fears, a familiar face adorned with a cruel smile. Thought you could get away that easily? He taunted, looming closer, the night air thickening with dread. Who are you? She asked, voice trembling. Someone who knows everything about your friend, he said, each word dissolving the distance between them. The revelation struck her like ice water. Was he connected to the man inside? To the danger that pursued them? And then it hit her like a punch. Maybe this was just the beginning. The man she tried to save, wasn't he the only one in jeopardy? Or was he the catalyst to something far worse? What do you know? She asked, challenged by a pulse of anger. The malevolent grin widened, revealing more than just a promise of violence. Everything, he whispered, the darkness closing in around her as she prepared for whatever storm loomed next. Were the shadows truly allies or merely a veil for deeper chaos? The impending truth felt weightier than any physical burden she could carry. Each answer was laced with new questions, swirling like a storm on the horizon, inching closer. This night had only begun to unravel, and the grip of fate was tightening around her once more. Panic surged in Olivia's chest as she met his gaze. The shadows at her back shifted, the air thick with the scent of danger. She thought of the man she had left behind, the wild courage in his voice urging her to escape, and now this confrontation with the devil himself. You think you know me? She spat, trying to mask her fear with defiance. Oh, I know much more than you can imagine, he drawled, taking a step closer, eyes glinting maliciously. I know about your little secret, the one that makes you so valuable to him. What are you talking about? The words caught in her throat. She couldn't allow him to see her tremble, but her heart raced like a prisoner yearning for freedom. That he laughed, a low, chilling sound that echoed in the silence of the alley. Let us just say it's a matter of leverage. Your friend is somewhere very special right now, and I can help him, or I can make his life a living hell. Something snapped inside Olivia. She couldn't let him play his mind games, not now. I want to let you hurt him. Such passion. I admire that, he replied, circling her like a predator. But the question remains, what is more important to you? His life or your own? Before she could answer, shouts erupted from the alley behind her, the shadows of figures advancing under the flickering streetlight. They were coming for her. The man inside had held them off, buying her time. Yet here they were, hunting her down again. Run, Olivia. You don't have to be part of this. A voice called his voice, reaching her through the chaos. It was a lifeline slashed into her spiraling panic. In that moment, an unexpected resolve blossomed. She had the rusty piece of metal in her pocket. A shimmer of hope ignited. She couldn't run and hide. She had to fight. Not today, she whispered, steeling herself even as the world around her began to close in. With ferocity, she turned to face her tormentor, surprisingly unafraid. If you think I'll just walk away and leave him, you're wrong. I'll find a way to save him, regardless of what you think you know. The man's smile faltered for a brief moment, surprise flashing in his eyes. Bold. But do you even know who you're dealing with? The laughter from behind him grew louder. Olivia took a deep breath, pushing past the fear gripping her throat. She glimpsed the growing shadows, the intent burning in their eyes. It was do or die. You're right, she said, her voice steady. I don't. But neither do you. In a blur, she grabbed a nearby trash can lid, using it to shield her as she charged toward him. The metallic sound rang sharp, reverberating through the alley. Startled, he stumbled back as she knocked him to the ground. Adrenaline coursing through her like wildfire as she stood over him, her heart racing. She caught a glimpse of movement in the darkness beyond. A silhouette emerged, towering and menacing. It wasn't he just them. They had reinforcements. His laughter echoed against the brick walls. You may be brave, but you're outnumbered. Just watch what you unleash. Your friend's life hangs in the balance now. Olivia's blood ran cold. This wasn't he just about her anymore. She swiveled to face the figures approaching, the growing weight of her choices crashing down upon her. Did she really have a chance to save him? Before she could process her next move, they descended upon her, shadows reaching with ravenous hunger. Olivia. His voice roared from the depths, a beacon of hope piercing through the dread. And just like that, she was ensnared in the chaos. Would she become a pawn in their game? Or could she turn the tide before it was too late? With every heartbeat, danger thrummed like a drum, teasing the edges of fate while obscuring the glimmer of hope just out of reach. Olivia's breath hitched as the first shadow lunged towards her. The distance between them shrank, and she felt the weight of her choices crashing heavily against her chest. Fighting the urge to panic, she steadied herself, channeling every ounce of courage into her next move. "Get off me," she shouted, swinging the trash can lid with all her might. It connected, the harsh clang echoing like a gunshot through the alley. The figure staggered back, momentarily stunned. She turned, eyes darting for a quick escape, but the others pressed in. Each face was blurred in darkness, but their intentions were clear. They had come to take her, to crush her spirit. Yet the thought of him, of the man she desperately needed to save, spurred her on. Fear became a sharp blade in her hands, pointing her forward. "Fight, Olivia. Keep fighting," she urged herself, feeling an odd sense of power with each swing. She was not just trying to escape. She was fighting for him. A second figure lunged, and Olivia ducked, swinging the lid again. This time, it connected squarely with another unseen form. A grunt of pain rang out, but she didn't stop to see the fallout. The alley split before her, a narrow corridor that led back to the street. "Keep moving," she yelled at herself, tears stinging her eyes as she sprinted toward freedom. But freedom didn't come without a price. A hand reached out, grabbing her wrist and pulling her back. She twisted violently, feeling reality blur around her. She was losing control. "Let her go?" His voice boomed through the chaos, a thunderous command that sent a shiver down her spine. For a heartbeat, the world stilled. It was him, her man, her anchor. In that split second of distraction, Olivia rolled free, wrenching her arm from the grip. She glanced back, catching a glimpse of his silhouette through the chaos, defiant, yet outnumbered. The fight had splintered, and a chill ran through her veins. Panic clawed at her again, threatening to overwhelm her resolve. "Stay back," she shouted, raising the trash can lid defensively. But it wasn't enough this time. More figures swarmed. They were relentless, filled with a cold determination that terrified her. "That one save you," one man shouted, stepping closer, confidence oozing from his posture. "Stop. This isn't the way," she cried, desperation spilling into her voice. "You don't even know what you're involved in." He smiled, a cruel smile of someone reveling in the chaos. "Oh, we know. We're here for the same reason you are, darling. To end the game." A tremor ran through her at his words. What did he know? What was this game he spoke of? Questions circled her mind like vultures, their answers just out of reach. But she couldn't falter. The hand that clutched her tightly suddenly released, and she took her chance. She dashed towards the street, heart pounding in her chest, the world a blur. She had to warn him, to keep him in the light. Streets were barren, echoing her footsteps as she pressed on. Her breath came in ragged gasps. The night was alive, wrapping around her like a cloak infused with dread. "Get him back," she whispered, realization dawning in a sudden rush. She had to sway the balance of power if she wanted to see him again. She needed allies. And then it hit her. The very last place she imagined she'd have to go. She skidded to a stop, her heart racing with horror and urgency. "Not that," she gasped, a thought so terrifying it almost stole her breath. She had to go to him, but could she do it without putting everyone at risk? As the shadows from the alley blurred behind her, Olivia felt the play of danger at her heels, an undeniable urge pulling her toward an uncertain fate. With each beat of her heart, the night held its breath, and the darkness deepened around her. The next move was critical. Would she take that leap into the abyss, or retreat into the safety of silence? It all depended on the choice she made next. Olivia stood frozen, the cold night air swallowing her whole. The thought of where she needed to go churned in her mind, twisting like a knife. The dread of that location wrapped around her heart. She would have to return to the very source of her fears, the place she had sworn never to set foot in again. She tore her gaze from the street behind her, pulsing with the adrenaline of her escape, and felt a chill creep into her bones. A darkened figure slipped into her peripheral vision, and her instincts screamed. She couldn't afford to be caught again. Mustering all her strength, she bolted down the abandoned side street, her lungs burning as she ran. The echoes of her footsteps bounced off the graffiti-covered walls, each resounding thud reminding her of the danger lurking just out of sight. How had things spiraled so far out of control? Just hours before, she'd been a daughter living in the shadows of her father's legacy, oblivious to the web of danger entwined in her life. Now, she was a hunted woman, clinging to a thread of hope. "Think, Olivia. You can't do this alone, she muttered, the words bursting from her as she rounded a corner, breathless. It was time to call in the favors, to reach out to those who might stand with her. Her heart raced at the thought. There was one person who could help pull her from this darkness, a childhood friend who had sworn never to walk away from her. As she dug through her phone for the number, fear clawed at her throat. Memories flooded in hard laughter over shared meals, late-night conversations filled with dreams. But she had hurt her friend when she turned away from their past. Would she even answer? With trembling hands, she pressed the call button and waited, every second stretching like an eternity. Each ring echoed in her chest, a countdown to the unknown. Come on, pick up. Just as she was about to hang up, a familiar voice broke through the static. Olivia? Is that you? Concern laced the tone, disbelief mingling with hope. It's me, Jamie. I need your help. Panic spilled through her words as she explained the chaos unleashed upon her. Shadows creeping ever closer around the edges of her sanity, the urgency spilling out faster than she could control. Olivia, slow down. Are you safe? Jamie asked, her voice firm yet laced with worry. For now, but I think I've led them here. I can't go home, not without putting everyone at risk. Okay, listen, there's a safe house we can use. Meet me at the old basketball court, behind the laundromat. The mention of that court made Olivia's heart ache. Memories of carefree summers flooded in playing games, laughter echoing under the sun. Yet, those days felt a lifetime away now, buried beneath the weight of betrayal and fear. I'll be there, Olivia replied, determination seeping back into her. Stay low, and don't let them see you. They might come for you too. I know, trust me, Jamie said, her voice steady. I'll be waiting, okay? Just hurry. Olivia cut the call and tucked her phone into her pocket, wiping clammy hands on her jeans as she moved. Tom was not on her side. The streets felt alive, shadows writhing under the yellow glow of flickering streetlights. She ducked into a narrow alley, fears coursing through her like a raging river. Memories of the figures from that darkened space haunted her thoughts as she raced forward, their intentions twisted and dark, entwining her fate with theirs. Her heart pounded louder as she approached the familiar neighborhood. It bore witness to a time before chaos, when worry was just a fleeting thought. Now, it stood as a ghost town, the echoes of those memories drowned in her growing fear. Then, like a flash of lightning illuminating the darkness, she spotted it, the old basketball court nestled behind the dilapidated laundromat. Simultaneously, she recalled the passion of the game, the camaraderie of youth, and the possibility of safety. Yet, as she stepped closer, a cold dread settled in her gut. She wasn't just racing against time, but against an unseen force that stalked her relentlessly. What if Jamie was wrong? What if they were already waiting for her? As Olivia crossed the threshold onto the court, the distant sounds of footsteps echoed behind her. The shadows crept closer. Don't let them catch you, she whispered to herself, a mixture of fear and resolve igniting within. But as her eyes scanned the area, she felt the ground shift beneath her. Something big was coming, further blurring the lines of trust and treachery. Would she make it to safety, or was this just the beginning of a much darker descent? The game was only beginning, and the stakes were higher than she dared to imagine. Would she uncover the truth, or walk into a trap? The air was thick with tension as Olivia stepped onto the cracked concrete of the basketball court. The night swallowed her, amplifying the sounds of her heart pounding in her ears. Shadows danced under the flickering street lamps, creating a surreal atmosphere, one that felt both familiar and dangerously foreign. Jamie, she called, trying to pierce through the oppressive silence. But her voice echoed back at her, stark and hollow. Panic clawed at her throat. What if Jamie and team made it? What if it was all too late? Olivia glanced around, eyes darting to the edge of the court. The cracked backboard seemed like a grim reminder of the innocence lost. She could almost hear the laughter of their younger selves ringing in her ears, but that joyful noise was replaced by the distant shuffle of footsteps growing ever closer. Her mind raced, struggling to compartmentalize the chaotic whirlpool of feelings, a mix of hope and dread. She thought of her friend. Jamie had always been the brave one, the one unafraid to face the unknown. Could that same courage protect them both in this moment? Suddenly, rustling from nearby bushes broke her train of thought. Adrenaline surged through her, and she crouched low behind a crumbling cement barrier, her breath hitching in her chest. If anyone was watching, she couldn't afford to make a sound. Stay calm. You can do this, she whispered to herself, but the clenching in her stomach tightened. Each uncertain breath called forth images of those dark figures, the ones who haunted her nights, blurring the line between reality and nightmare. The footsteps drew nearer, and Olivia squinted into the shadows. A figure emerged, a silhouette cut from the darkness, and she held her breath, fearful and on edge. Olivia, over here. It was Jamie. Relief flooded through her, but it was quickly tempered by urgency. Jamie beckoned from the opposite end of the court, where the shadows hid her from view. Olivia bounded toward her, glancing back cautiously. Where have you been? Olivia whispered harshly, fighting to keep the panic from her voice. I thought I lost you. Shoo. Jamie's eyes darted around, her expression tense. There's no time for that. Did you have anyone following you? No, I don't think so, Olivia said, trying to keep her voice steady. But I heard something. It might not be safe, we need to move. Just then, a chilling rustle erupted from the bushes next to them. Both girls froze, hearts racing, caught between flight and fight. Did you hear that? Jamie whispered, her voice barely above a breath. Olivia nodded, feeling the icy grip of fear as the rustling intensified. Run! Olivia screamed, adrenaline kicking in. They sprinted for the edge of the court, urgency driving their legs as the noise turned frantic behind them. Whatever was lurking was getting closer, and they couldn't stick around to find out what it was. They dove behind an old dumpster. Olivia caught her breath, trembling. What if they find us? What if Olivia, focus? Jamie snapped, her gaze sharp and intense. If they're after you, then they think you're important. We need to find out why. What do you mean? Olivia felt a surge of confusion, grappling with the realization that the depths of this situation were deeper than she had imagined. Your father, he wasn't just a cleaner. Jamie glanced around cautiously, urgency in her voice. He was involved in something that could be huge, and I think someone wants you to keep quiet about it. Olivia's world tilted. She struggled to grasp the implications of Jamie's words, the knot of dread tightening around her throat. What are you saying? What did he do? Before Jamie could respond, a horrifying sound shattered the tense silence. The breaking of glass echoed from the laundromat, and shadows emerged, moving with destructive intent. Time us up, Jamie hissed. We need to find the exit. Now. As they sprinted into the night, Olivia's heart raced. A million questions pounded in her mind. Who were the figures? What exactly was her father involved in? The night felt like a labyrinth, and with each twist and turn, it became clear they were not just running for their lives. They were running to uncover a dangerous truth that could change everything. Could they reach safety? Or would the shadows of the past consume them both? The darkness swallowed the girls as they fled, the echoing footsteps hot on their trail. Jamie led the way, her every instinct sharpened by the primal need to survive. Olivia followed close behind, her mind racing with fear and uncertainty. Each corner they rounded revealed only more shadows, each flickering street lamp feeling like a fading beacon of hope. Through the alley, Jamie urged, veering left, the old dumpster scraping her arm as she squeezed past. It was narrow and dank, littered with the discarded remnants of others who came before them, leaving subtle clues of lives lost in this very city. Olivia barely noticed. Her heart was pounding too loudly to process anything but the darkness creeping closer. What if they catch us? She gasped, panic seeped through her words. We can't think like that. Just keep moving. Jamie's tone was fierce yet tinged with urgency. The alley narrowed, towering walls of brick looming over them like monstrous sentinels. Olivia stumbled, nearly losing her footing on the uneven pavement. A chill whispered against her skin, each gust of wind reminding her that they were far from safe. We have to find somewhere to hide, Jamie said, scanning the dimly lit alley for any potential safe spot. There's an old storage unit around the corner. If we can get there before she could finish. The sound of crashing glass echoed again, followed by the menacing voices of shadowy figures behind them, masculine laughter tainted by cruelty. Olivia's breath hitched in her throat. They're close. Quick. This way. Jamie darted into a darker part of the alley, desperation lacing her movements. The adrenaline coursed through Olivia's veins like fire. Every instinct urged her to stay close to Jamie, to trust in her friend's bravery. They soon reached the tall, uneven door of the storage unit, its paint peeling, barely hanging on its hinges. Jamie gave it a shove, but it wouldn't budge. "Come on," she urged, throwing her weight against the door. "Let me try?" Olivia pressed her shoulder against it. Feeling the rough would dig into her skin, sweat dripped from her temples as she pushed with everything she had. The door creaked but didn't give way. With the shadows gaining on them, Jamie glanced over her shoulder, eyes wide with fear. "We don't have time." Before Olivia could reply, a group of men emerged from the other end of the alley, their silhouettes sharp against the weak light. "They went this way," one shouted, pointing that a surge of raw fear jolted Olivia. "We need to hide now." In a final desperate attempt, she heaved against the door one last time. To their relief, it swung open, creaking ominously, inviting them into the shadows beyond. They slipped inside just as a pair of heavy footsteps approached, brushing past the door with barely an inch to spare. The musty darkness enveloped them, closing around like a thick fog. The air felt stale, and Olivia instinctively pressed herself flat against the wall. "What now?" she whispered, her voice barely a breath. Jamie pulled her closer and whispered, "We stay quiet until they leave. Then we figure out what to do next." Silence fell, punctuated only by the sound of their muffled breathing. Little spots of light filtered through the cracks in the boarded-up windows, revealing old crates and stacks of dusty boxes, remnants of forgotten lives like ghosts trapped in time. Olivia's mind raced back to Jamie's words about her father. What was he involved in? She murmured, mind working through the fragmented thoughts too rapidly to catch all at once. An unsettling noise made her stop, the wood creaking where someone had stepped outside the door. A slow, deliberate sound, muffled but tangible. The shadows were moving outside. "Do you think they know we're in here?" Olivia asked, dread wrapping around her heart. "Shoo," Jamie hissed, gripping Olivia's arm tightly as the door rattled slightly on its hinges. Olivia's heart sank. What awaited them beyond the door? With barely a whisper, Jamie spoke again. "If we can get out of here, we can piece this together. We have to know the truth." But the truth, like a shadow, seemed ready to engulf them whole. In that tense moment, Olivia couldn't help but wonder, could they really unveil what lay hidden within their past? Footsteps drew nearer, voices rising again. And somewhere beyond that door, their lives would shift forever. How would they escape this labyrinth of terror alive? The world around Olivia spun as she heard the heavy footsteps echoing just outside the door, her chest tightening in fear. Jamie's grip on her arm felt like a lifeline, and she closed her eyes, trying to focus. They needed a plan, but panic lurked in every corner. "Do you hear them?" Jamie whispered, wide-eyed, the tension in her voice palpable. "They're right there. Maybe we can distract them," Olivia suggested, her voice a strained whisper. "If we can make some noise, we might create an opening, get out the back. They'll come straight for us." Jamie replied, desperation creeping in. "We need to wait. We're safer in here." Before Olivia could respond, one of the men shouted, laughter rippling through the air like a chill. "They can't be far. Let us check the storage unit." The weight of their urgency felt suffocating. Nearly holding her breath, Olivia strained her ears, feeling the adrenaline surge as she pulled away from the door. "I want to wait to be cornered like a rat," she declared, voice steadying though her heart raced. "If we stay in here, we'll just let them find us." Jamie hesitated, eyes darting between the door and Olivia. "What if we don't make it?" Olivia took a deep breath. They had to choose. "What if we do?" she countered, determination blazing in her eyes. "We can't let fear dictate our fate. It's time to take back control." "Okay," Jamie relented, swallowing hard. "But we'll need to be smart about this. Let us wait for them to get closer." They crouched in silence, the heavy air thick with anticipation. With each passing moment, the shouts of the men outside grew louder and more derisive. "They're just kids. They can't run forever. I'll give them something to chase after." One of the figures taunted, his voice dripping with malice. That moment, Olivia felt a primal urge. She lowered her hold on the rusty piece of metal still in her pocket. She imagined slamming it against something solid, creating a noise drawing the men away. "You're right. They need to come to us." "Are you sure?" Jamie's eyes glistened with uncertainty. Olivia nodded sharply. "Let us do it." She rose silently, gripping the piece of metal tightly as she positioned herself near the back of the storage unit where a window was partially boarded up. Jamie followed, her face a mask of resolve. With a swift motion, Olivia smashed the metal across the boarded window, splintering wood and sending a loud crack reverberating through the air. The sound was electric, echoing down the alley. "Over here," she shouted, her voice ringing with defiance. Adrenaline pulsing, she quickly crouched back. Tension filled her frame. "Idiots! Check that window." One of the men barked, a guttural laugh spilling from his lips. Heart racing, Olivia and Jamie pressed closer together, waiting, praying their distraction would work. The footsteps grew closer, harsh breaths mixing with their own racing hearts. The storage unit door flung open, darkness swallowing the figures. Olivia felt the weight of her choice ringing loud in the silence. "Now," she urged, shoving against Jamie as they slipped out through a side exit only a few feet from the shattered window. They stumbled onto the street, breathless and full of fear, realizing they were free but vulnerable. "This way," Jamie shouted, leading Olivia down a narrow side street that opened up toward the main road, where cars occasionally passed. They sprinted, urgency driving them towards safety. As they ran, Olivia glanced back briefly, the shadows of their pursuers still trailing behind. "We can't stop," she cried, legs burning. "They are right there." Just as they rounded the corner, a familiar voice sliced through the night, a low, commanding tone that reached for her heart. "Olivia." "Jamie." It was him, the man she had fought to save in the mansion. Relief flooded her senses even as her pulse raced from fear. He stood there, battered but alive, with a fierce determination in his eyes. "Get in the car now." The moment felt surreal as they dove into the back seat of the vehicle, olive and gold lights flashing as the headlights pierced through the night. The door slammed shut, sealing them within a fragile cocoon of safety. "What about the men?" Jamie gasped, glancing back as they sped away from the darkness. "They'll find me again, but this time, I'm ready." His voice was steady. "Together, we're stronger." He looked at Olivia, his gaze piercing through doubt. "But we need to make our move. What do we do now?" Olivia's voice trembled as she thought of all they had been through. "We expose the truth," he replied, the shine of determination in his eyes. "And we make sure they can never come after anyone again. But to do that, we need your father's files." "He hid them somewhere safe, didn't he?" Olivia blinked, realization dawning. The weight of secrets pressed heavily on her now. But there was something else, the flicker of a shared purpose igniting beneath the layers of fear. "I think I know where they are." Jamie nodded. "Then let us go get them, and end this nightmare once and for all." With every heartbeat, their chances of unearthing the darkness grew as they planned their next move, stepping out of the shadows into the light together. The looming battle ahead was steep, but this time they wouldn't fight alone. They looked at each other, fear slowly transforming into unbreakable resolve. Together, they would forge a new dawn. And as the sun began to rise, casting warmth across their path, Olivia felt the grip of fate shifting, the shadows receding, opening a way to reclaim her narrative. This was their moment. Underneath the weight of struggle, they found hope, threadbare yet bold. Olivia realized resilience was born from pain, and together, they would be the architects of their fate. But as with every ending, it was just the beginning of their true fight. Now, don't you dare leave without being part of this journey. Subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm, because your support means everything. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. I want to hear what you think will happen next. And for the love of good storytelling, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion, because we're building something powerful together. This is the moment to show your support. And I know the true fans out there understand how crucial your actions are. Don't wait even one more second to share.